The plea that froze the diner. It was a chilly Sunday afternoon in a small-town diner off Route 49. The kind of place that smelled like coffee, bacon grease, and 1,000 untold stories. The doorbell jingled as a group of rough-looking bikers stomped in, leather jackets, heavy boots, beards that looked like they'd seen a few bar fights. They were loud, laughing, dropping curses between jokes. At the center of them was Tank, a 6'4" man with tattoos crawling up his neck, the kind of guy people avoided making eye contact with. The waitress, Mary, smiled nervously. She'd been serving coffee at Miller's Diner for almost 20 years, but these guys still made her hands shake a little when she carried the plates. At the corner booth sat a woman who didn't belong there. Her name was Rachel, mid-30s, frail, wearing an oversized sweater and cheap sneakers that had seen better days. In front of her sat a half-eaten plate of fries and a small cup of coffee she'd been nursing for an hour. She wasn't scrolling her phone or chatting, just staring out the window, lost in thought. When the bikers came in, she shrank a little, like a leaf trying to hide from the wind. A few minutes later, Mary came over, whispering softly. "Rachel, honey, are you okay? You've been here a while." Rachel nodded quickly, trying to smile. "Yes, ma'am. I'm fine. Just, warming up a bit." Her eyes darted toward the counter, where a plate of half-eaten burgers and fries sat, food left behind by another customer. She hesitated, bit her lip, and looked down. Something was clearly wrong. At the far booth, Tank noticed. He wasn't just a biker, he'd been a watcher all his life. He could spot pain faster than most. Maybe because he carried so much of it himself. He watched Rachel quietly as Mary returned to refill his group's coffee cups. Then it happened. Rachel stood up, walked slowly to the counter, her hands trembling. "Excuse me," she said softly, almost a whisper. Mary looked up. Rachel took a breath, her voice cracked. Can I take those leftovers? For my daughter?" The diner fell dead silent. Even the jukebox seemed to choke on its own tune. Backhand index pointing right before we go on, if this story already has your heart tightening just a bit, please hit that like button and subscribe to the Kindness Chronicles. These real, human stories of heart and redemption remind us all that kindness still exists. Now, back to the story. Mary froze for a second, unsure how to respond. She looked at the cold plate on the counter, fries, a few bites of a cheeseburger, and then at Rachel's face. Her cheeks were flushed from embarrassment. "I'm sorry, sweetie," Mary said gently. "We're not supposed to." But before she could finish, Tank's voice cut through the silence like thunder. "Give her the damn food." Everyone turned. The bikers stopped mid-chew, eyes flicking toward him. Tank pushed back his chair and stood up, towering over everyone. His voice was rough but steady. "You heard me, Mary. Give the lady whatever she wants. And bring her something fresh too." Rachel turned, startled, eyes wide. No, please, I didn't mean to cause trouble." Tank walked closer, pulling out his wallet, thick, worn, and filled with years of stories. "How old's your daughter?" he asked. 8, Rachel said softly, almost ashamed to speak it aloud. Tank nodded, motioned to the waitress. "Bring out 2 burgers, fries, milkshakes, and a slice of pie. 1 to go." Then, turning back to Rachel, he said quietly, "You don't take leftovers when your kid's hungry. You take real food." Rachel's eyes filled instantly. "You don't have to." "I know I don't," Tank interrupted. "But I want to." The bikers stared. Tank wasn't known for kindness. He was known for breaking noses, not paying for strangers' dinners. But there he was, paying, waiting, and asking no questions. When the food came out, he handed the bag to Rachel himself. She took it with both hands, tears streaming down her face. "I can't thank you enough." Tank just nodded, a faint smile tugging his scarred cheek. Feed your little girl. That's thanks enough. She hesitated, as if wanting to say more, then she turned and hurried out the door. Tank stood there for a long time, staring after her. Something about her face, something familiar, deep in the memory he thought he'd buried forever. Outside, the cold wind howled through the parking lot. Rachel disappeared into the distance, a single mother clutching a paper bag of hope. But what Tank didn't know was that this small act of kindness would soon pull him into a past he thought he'd escaped. A truth that would shake the entire town. The face he couldn't forget. 2 days later, the diner was quieter. The bikers were gone. Tank sat alone this time, no laughter, no group. Just him and his thoughts. He couldn't stop thinking about the woman, Rachel, and her words. Can I take the leftovers for my daughter? It wasn't just the words. It was the look in her eyes, the same look he remembered from a hospital room 15 years ago. The same look his sister had before she died. Tank hadn't seen his sister, Laura, since she was 19. Their family had fallen apart, drugs, foster homes, violence. Tank had run off, joined a motorcycle club, built a wall around his heart. He hadn't looked back. But before she died, Laura had given birth to a baby girl, and Tank had never found out what happened to her. That thought kept gnawing at him. He finally asked Mary, that woman who was here Sunday. Rachel. She live around here? Mary hesitated, surprised. Yeah, I think she's staying at the Old Ridge Motel by the highway. Why? Tank didn't answer. He just stood up, dropped a $50 on the counter, and left. That evening, as the sun dipped low, he pulled into the motel lot. The neon sign flickered, vacancy. Room 12. The curtains were thin. Through them, Tank could see Rachel sitting on the bed beside a small girl, thin, pale, hair messy from sleep. They were sharing a sandwich. He knocked gently. Rachel opened the door halfway, alarmed. Oh, you're the man from the diner. Tank, he said, nodding. Just wanted to check in. You two okay? Rachel hesitated, then smiled faintly. We're managing. Thanks to you. But as the little girl peeked from behind her, wide green eyes, a small birthmark on her neck. Tank froze. His chest tightened. That birthmark. It was the same one his sister had. Rachel noticed his expression. You okay? Tank swallowed hard. What's your daughter's name? Lila, she said softly. He stepped back, as if the air had been punched out of him. Lila. Rachel frowned. Yeah. Why? Tank looked at her, tears welling up behind those hardened eyes. My sister's name was Laura, he said. She had a baby before she passed. The baby's name was supposed to be Lila. The room went silent. Rachel's face went pale. Her eyes widened as realization dawned. Your last name, Tank whispered, is it Jensen? Rachel gasped. Yes, how do you? Tank sat down, trembling. You're my niece. Rachel's hand flew to her mouth. Lila climbed onto the bed, confused. Tank told her everything, about Laura, about their childhood, about the years he spent searching but never finding her. Rachel began to cry, whispering, Mom told me I had an uncle, but I thought she made it up. Tank laughed weakly through tears. Guess she didn't. The next morning, Tank drove them to his home, not the biker bar, but his small cabin outside town. He made breakfast for them, fixed the heater in her car, and promised Rachel and Lila they'd never go hungry again. The bikers? They didn't laugh when they heard the story. They showed up that evening, with bags of groceries, clothes, and toys for Lila. The same men people crossed the street to avoid, were now carrying pink teddy bears. And when Rachel tried to thank them, Tank just said quietly.